So, what you need to know is that the people that you are aligning with, will align with, already have aligned with, are of a different caliber. Meaning that you yourself are of a different caliber. You could be a part of a clan or a gang or a group with strong identity and purpose. Or you're finding yourself aligning with people who resonate with that being true for them. And I feel like there's this energy of influence or persuasion as you evolve in association to the forces around you that are impressioning you. Hey, Yuri. The forces around you that are impressioning you could be impressioning you to darken you. But that's a part of who you're becoming as you're changing. I'm hearing that song in my head by Tame Impala, like, Yes, I'm Changing. This could be like growing up. But even if it's not, it just seems like you're changing. You're becoming a new version of yourself, maybe that you've never been before. And if you've been reserved against expressing your identity, even like the darker aspects of it, or like getting up close and personal, because I feel like this camera angle is maybe closer than I've ever done before. So this could be this energy of you revealing secrets, learning secrets, maybe about your own family or where you come from or the circles that you're a part of. Like, you're getting inside looks into the lives or the internal worlds of other people in a way that's like impacting you for better or for worse. And that's something that you should be embracing right now. We have the Tower in reverse. Yeah, definitely like impact, definitely feeling impressioned. And it doesn't have to just be one experience. This could be like a bunch of repetitive experiences that mold you into something else. Similar to like, this is the first example that came to my mind. You know how like when slavery was, legal in a different and more real way than it is today. They had like a whole philosophy. It was like the Willie Lynch like book on how to break a slave, like how to break them down psychologically and fully indoctrinate them with like Western code or like how a slave code kind of thing. So this is like that energy of you like maybe having PTSD, like having been through something over and over and over again that literally fundamentally changes who you are as a person. Like Sasuke and Itachi are the thumbnail for this video. So like the energy here is really intense, and I'm sorry if, some of you guys can't relate, but I do feel like these are like the kind of life impacts, like your whole family dying. Like I could be talking to like orphans. I could be talking to people who are like in foster care right now. I could be talking to people who have experienced like sexual abuse, like maybe even in the home, and something you can't escape from that like existed for long periods of time, that like changes who you are, how you see the world. I think you're aligning with other people who see the world very similarly, and you need to be open to opportunities that even contrast your own, because it's possible that through the intensity of the indoctrination, you are used to seeing life in one way. Because it could be like, I mentioned slavery, which polarizes like black people and like white people, right? So regardless of your position in the polarization, there's indoctrination that comes along with that. So like if you're used to feeling supreme, have always felt supreme, there could be experiences coming in that like make you question your own supremacy or just understand it more fully. And if it's the opposite, then it's the opposite. You're used to being treated like shit or like stepped on, being made to yield to forces that you feel are higher than you at the bottom of the wheel versus the top of the wheel. So you could be aligning with people who are at opposite ends of the polarity or people who are at the same end of the polarity, or both. In either way, it doesn't really matter, because it's just the universe's way of showing you yourself. And you need to be open to that. Like if you're the Sasuke here, sparking up, I literally just the long before I did this. If you're Sasuke here, like allow yourself to see the Itachi as something other than the villain, even if you've been seeing him as the villain for years. And this reminds me of, like, in a less, like, societal context and more that, like, close to home context. I grew up with a single mother, and for a lot of my childhood, it was like my father was the villain. Like, from my childlike perspective, his absence seemed like the root of a lot of the core problems in my life. And so I had anger and resentment towards him for not being present. And this is Mars, so that would be like masculine energy and detriment. Even like if that's hyper masculinity or like the like absence of masculinity, things like balances like that, like imbalances like that could be the core of some of these problems, like internally, that are being triggered by life circumstances right now. Hey Sky, thank you guys for saying hi to me if you're here in the live. I appreciate it, even if I don't always like respond in the minute, because a lot of times I'm channeling and it's hard to remember what everything I'm meant to be saying when I'm distracted. So sorry if I ever ignore you. And I feel like that could be a thing here. Like, maybe you're feeling ignored by someone else and you're seeing them as an enemy. But there's something about like considering the circumstances that go beyond your position here, because it's something about you having a position that contrasts other people's positions. And them not necessarily being an enemy to you, but also being like also the default or like the byproduct of their circumstance, even if that does polarize them from you. And you just understanding that could make it easier to navigate through some of the energies as you're dealing with other people's stubbornness and their commitment to their way of being, even when it doesn't make a lot of sense in application to you. And I feel like that's challenging because this is Aries and Taurus energy with like Mars, and then like fixed energy with the Wheel of Fortune. It feels like, you know, the people who are dealing with each other here are like extremists in whatever their perspective is. Like, they really believe in this code that they follow. And so like, if you exist in opposition to that, like, they're committed to following their code, even if that means like kind of fucking you over. And even if these people later regret like their choices, they did it like in response to their ethics, their values. So like, there could be opportunities for some of these people to like reconsider and maybe even like allow more nuance when it comes to their ethics. Like, if people are committed to seeing things as black and white, then like this is the energy of people understanding where and when to make the exception, like where and when to compromise on extreme beliefs. Like, I know like stuff is happening in politics right now, so this makes sense. Like, a lot of people are feeling empowered in their position because of what they perceive as being a recent success that affirms their values, even if they are showing up as being, through the cards at least, you know, in reverse or like imbalanced, maybe even hyper masculine or overly traditional. But these people are having their identities validated in a way that could come into contrast with you or something like that. Because, you know, like, Sasuke makes it his whole like life purpose to like get revenge on his brother, until eventually he realizes why that was like maybe stupid and naive. So I feel like, you know, I think that those points of realization do eventually come in for like both people who exist in both polarities, when they realize how they're actually maybe not that different, maybe follow similar codes. But I do feel like a lot of like the conflict or tension that could be coming up is just due to the need or like perceived need to defend one's identity or domain as their own, and remove like what is perceived to be a threat to that. Because even Itachi did that, you know, like he killed his clan because he saw his clan for what it was and its intention to destroy a greater society. Sasuke, as a child, was not aware of the grander context, only a victim of it, and from his limited perspective, became internally resentful and made that his identity and his code. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people are just going through things and then becoming committed in their positions because that feels like the only thing to do, the best thing to do, the most powerful thing to do. Okay. How does this energy progress? So eventually, like, whatever stalemates exist have to come apart with time. Like, this is the energy of forgiveness. Or, like, even if not towards another person, but just towards the situation that you're finding yourself in. Because this is a Libran card, so it's, like, karmic. It's, like, whatever position you're in of supremacy or submission, needing to yield, is where you're, like, fated to be. So there's no, like, point in really kicking that position, only really, like, understanding what that means about your relationship with the other things in your material world and what you should expect from those relationships. Logically, not like emotionally. The moon is in the back, you know, like it's there. So you might feel still a way about how things are. That's like understandable. But resistance isn't supported. Like, maybe initially you might need to, just for the sake of your character and its development. Like, initially Sasuke had to, like, be fueled by rage to become accomplished, but then eventually, in his accomplishment, he understands kind of the futility of his internal, like, his initial motivations. The hatred, the anger, the rage. They become, like, they were tools, definitely, in the beginning when he needed them most, but they become less useful after gaining a truth. And that's, like, the judgment over the situation from, like, the divine perspective. Because, like, eventually the full picture has to kind of be revealed of what you're dealing with, because that's, like, karmic law. And from that point, you get to become creative about how you move forward. Like, how the situation moves forward for each of you will be different, but it'll be based in acceptance of what's true and cannot be avoided. So there could be, like, meeting in the middle happening here, like compromise achieved, mediation available. How does the situation move forward? Three of Wands in reverse. The beginning again. And 4 of Cups. I just heard, how the fuck we got to where we started? This love don't feel how I feel we started. So this is like a relationship, you know, you could go into like a separation, need some time apart, after realizing what's not going right, and then like just accepting that, and then taking time to like focus maybe more on like your career, what you're like independently striving towards, like, you know, refortifying your internal security with this Taurus energy in the reverse if it has been triggered into instability due to like a conflict with someone else who is in a position of authority, maybe even especially. And yeah, like I was talking about before, like how you might come out of this a little bit darkened, because it does feel like some of the energies here are traumatic in nature, but that's like an opportunity here for you to make something out of this situation. So you only really have to be stuck here if you are overly submitting to like the negative emotions that are triggered by other people's attacks on you. I just heard Attack on Titan. So it could feel like you're being bombarded. And that's like overwhelming and definitely stressful. And that's where I feel like that that PTSD could come in if you are feeling like you have it. But that seems like something that's unavoidable for you as a person. Like, it's just kind of what you're meant to be going through and learning how to deal with in the material world. So yeah, that's what I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this. I'm about to record another one like right after this. So but yeah, thank you.